SeekingAlpha.com is one of my favorite resources, one of my favorite free websites that I've personally been using since the beginning of my dividend investing journey. Now in this video, we're going to be going through the SeekingAlpha.com website, and I'm going to show you all the functionality that I use on a regular basis to do things like research new stocks, ETFs, look at dividends, financials, etc. Then later on, towards the end of this video, I'm going to share with you some of my all-time favorite functions that this website has to offer. So if you're a dividend growth investor looking to learn a little bit more about SeekingAlpha.com, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past, you've always seen me on SeekingAlpha.com, and to be fully transparent, I'm as of right now not sponsored by SeekingAlpha.com. I don't even have the premium version of it, as you can see right here. So they're trying to sell me the premium version for around $5, which I personally have no interest in buying, at least not as of right now. Now that's honestly because there's so much functionality and there's so much to offer from this website from the free version. And I honestly, for the most part, have been using this website honestly on a daily basis over the past 6 or 7 years since I personally started investing. Now in this video, we're going to be looking through Seeking Alpha in the context of a dividend investor because I personally am a dividend growth investor that's been buying different dividend paying stocks and ETFs over the last 6 or 7 years. And over the years, I've built a portfolio that's currently worth well over $1 million. And I talk about it all the time on my channel, so definitely check out some of my other videos if you haven't already. But in this video, we're going to be looking at Seeking Alpha from a dividend investor standpoint, not necessarily a growth investor or a day trader. Although even with that, there's probably some good functionality that SeekingAlpha.com also offers. Now, first off, at the homepage of SeekingAlpha.com, if you do, of course, create an account, which it can be free, I created an account for free. And once again, as you can see, they're trying to make me upgrade a premium or asking me to upgrade a premium, which like I said, I don't have any interest in doing as of right now. But once you have your account, you have all these different tabs over here. You can create different portfolios, which will show you how much the stocks are up or down throughout the day. But honestly, for the most part, I've never really went too far into this aspect of Seeking Alpha. I normally use it on a daily basis to look into things like a stock price, an ETF price, maybe earnings, dividends, etc. But on the homepage, what I like about Seeking Alpha is there's a ton of different trending articles, trending analysis, trending news, etc. Now, the thing I do not like about Seeking Alpha, especially for the free version, this is something new maybe in the last year or so. If you want to go through here and actually read these articles, you are going to most likely have to pay. A lot of the articles will show you just a small portion of the article, and if you want to keep reading, there is a paywall. But honestly, throughout the internet these days, that's pretty much how most article websites seem to be, which I absolutely hate, but it just is the way it is. But getting into the actual aspects of Seeking Alpha that I like and the things that I use on a consistent basis as a 7-figure dividend growth investor, on the top of Seeking Alpha right here in the search bar, you can basically type in any stock or ETF's ticker symbol or their name for that aspect, and you can basically click on it. And once you pick whatever stock or ETF you want to look through, you then get brought to this page here where you can see the stock or ETF's information, things like summary, things like holdings, if of course it's a fund, things like ratings, momentum, expenses for expense ratios, things like dividends, risk, liquidity, peers, options, and charting. Like I said earlier, tons of free information. And of course, there's tons of different websites throughout the internet as far as stock market websites where you can get pretty much all the same exact information. So I'm by no means saying that Seeking Alpha is the only place across the internet where you can figure out what SHD's holdings are or how much the expense ratio is, because these days there's so many different websites that basically all have the same information more or less. But Seeking Alpha is one of the best to do it if you ask me. So first off, looking through an ETF, I'm going to share with you exactly how I use Seeking Alpha, and then we're going to go through a single stock in a second. So with SEHD, for example, this is the Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF, one of my favorite long-term buy and hold forever style ETFs. On the summary page, you can go through here and you can chart out different time frames. You can see how an ETF has performed over different times, like 10 years, 5 years, 1 year. And of course, this is just price return. This is not including dividends. But don't worry, we're going to talk about dividends here in a second. But honestly, on SeekingAlpha.com, I like how on a snapshot, you can basically see year to date, 1 year, 5 year, all the important time frames for the most part at a glance. And then of course, there is an advanced tab if you want to look a little bit further into the charting options. But also I like that right here on the right hand side, it shows things like what the stock or ETFs that you're looking at, 52-week range might be, and day range, etc. Things like expense ratio, if it pays a dividend, how often it pays a dividend, which in this case it's quarterly. The dividend rate trailing 12 months, which is how much this ETF has paid in the last 12 months or so. The dividend yield off the last 12 months, assets under management, and of course volume. So what I like about this is that there's so much information just in front of your fingertips with just a few clicks. You don't have to really dig too far into a stock or ETF to really figure out. But if you want to, of course, you can then click on things like holdings. And this once again is for things like ETFs, where you can then go see holding breakdowns, see what's made up of the different funds you're looking into, and even things like top 10 holdings, which are for the most part pretty accurate. You are going to find that sometimes the information within the holdings or other information across Seeking Alpha might not be accurate up until the day or up until the moment, but honestly, in my experience, it's pretty good. The other tabs that I use pretty frequently are things like expenses for expense ratio. It shows right here that SCHD has an expense ratio of 0.06%. It even then shows the median across all ETFs and other information. But as a dividend investor, one of the most useful tabs that I use quite often is the dividend tab, of course, which very quickly you can see things like the trailing 12-month dividend yield. Also, very important metrics like dividend growth rate, and maybe one of my most important favorite tabs is if you click on dividends, then click on dividend history, you can see all the dividends more or less that a stock or ETF has paid over time. Now, scrolling down even further from there, you can see basically more or less every single dividend payout historically, which again is just more information than most investors even need, especially if you're new to investing. But again, the information is here. It is free, which is awesome, and it's very useful. Now, the last thing that I personally use quite a bit on seekingalpha.com, again, this is just for sort of analyzing stocks or ETFs, getting an idea of what you're looking at. If you click on charting over here, you can go over here and select different symbols, compare different stocks and ETFs to each other, and of course change out the actual metric that you're looking for, like changing price return to total return, which is price return plus dividends included. And then with that, you can look at multiple different time frames. Apparently, if you do pay for Seeking Alpha, which again, I don't, you can look at longer time frames, etc. But for the most part, seekingalpha.com, the free version, gives you, in my opinion, an insane amount of free data, and honestly enough to make your investment decisions, especially if you're utilizing other resources online other than just Seeking Alpha. Now, we looked at an ETF and Seeking Alpha, but a single stock, something like Apple stock, it's basically all more or less the same thing. With Apple stock, you can click on the max time frame and see how much Apple is up on the all-time chart as far as price return goes. You can move things around, and then right here on the right-hand side, once again, you see a ton of important aspects. Things like the 52-week range, day range, we have EPS forward, PE forward, dividend rate forward, yield forward, market cap, etc., etc. Another very important tab that has a good amount of information, once again, for free and very, very quickly. If you click on the earnings tab, you can see things like earnings summaries, you can see things like earning estimates, and on top of that, if you click on financials, especially for single stocks this is, you can look into things like income statements, balance sheet, even cash flow reports. Now, once again, you're not going to be able to see all that much information for free. Apparently, you do have to pay to get, the entire scope of things. But once again, for free, there's a ton of data out there on seekingalpha.com, which has been extremely helpful for my investing career over the years. Now, in this video, we obviously just scratched the surface of what there actually is on seekingalpha.com and what you can really do as far as using it as a powerful tool. But like I said, as a dividend growth investor that's not necessarily super concerned about all the nitty gritty, every last detail, I just want to get a good idea of what a stock or ETF has to offer, the fundamentals, and some of the numbers historically. But all in all, I hope this video gave you a better idea of some of my favorite aspects of seekingalpha.com. But if you were to ask me what my favorite aspect of all is, it would definitely be the charting feature, where you can go through and compare other stocks and ETFs together. And like I showed you a little bit earlier, use different metrics and try to figure out what the best investment vehicle for you might be. But now that we've been over some of the basics of seekingalpha.com, I want to hear from you guys down below. If you personally use seekingalpha.com as of right now, what is your favorite feature across the entire website, at least in the free version? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.